trust anybody now.
Come on, you hey! You want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will win.
And welcome back to the Monster Movie Stompdown. Of course, you got your host Sludge here, co-host across from me.
Yeah, it's Mark,
the master from Texas.
Ruben,
I want to tell you something. We just recently got a new pastor at our church, and our previous pastor retired, and he's from Texas, and I think we may have talked about this, and we all, the church, he preached, the church voted, and I came down to him after service, and I said, all right, look, I need to ask you a really important question because this may change my vote, so make sure...
so threaten him first.
Yeah,
threaten him first. Okay, I get it.
So make sure you're answering right with God on this.
This is 2,000 mules. This is 2,000 mules. This is starting to sound like 2,000 mules now, man.
I told him, I said, all right, In-N-Out or Whataburger? And he goes, well, most people in Texas will hate me, but I'm In-N-Out all the way. I was like, I knew I voted for the right man. I knew you were supposed to be here.
Yeah,
so
that's so
I thought
wrong.
you'd appreciate that.
But for the record, for our listeners, he did tell him my vote.
My
vote may change.
Hey, I may have been a Whataburger guy. He didn't know, So, but
or
maybe just In-N-Out
next
burger.
thing I got to say is I'm going to question his Texananity there because I don't think he's from Texas. I don't believe he's from Texas.
Oh,
Because
man.
no one from Texas, no one with Texas would take In-N-Out.
I was thinking about it today, too, because
it won't happen.
Earlier before we got started, my wife brought me some food home, and I called her, and she's like, what do you want? She was coming back from the store, and I said, go pick me up a better Whataburger. And for those who don't know what a better Whataburger is, it's a Pal's Burger here in East Tennessee. So,
Pal's, huh?
Pals, yes.
Now, In-N-Out, isn't that company based out of California?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you're a California man.
No.
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
No,
yeah, he
no.
is.
No,
Oh, yeah,
he
he
is.
is.
Yeah,
He
he
is.
Hey, look,
Just bring that point up. Bring that point up.
Let me make.
I'm a
one
Northern
thing clear.
California man. I will take me some Northern California all day long, not Southern California.
It's just let me make one thing very clear. It's not that I don't like In-N-Out, right? It's just that I've had In-N-Out, and it's just another burger to me compared to the others that I've
See,
had.
that's Whataburger.
It's just another. It's just another. I mean, it's good. I'll sit there and I'll eat it. I won't throw up or anything, but it's just a
what does that mean?
You know what it reminds me
In-N-Out?
of? If there's anybody,
Oh, it's
if
just
there's
the
any-
service
if
is
there's
fast. You just
any,
get in, you get out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there used to be a little franchise here called Red Line Burgers. I don't know if it's a national
Never
or
heard
not.
of it.
It used to call Red Line Burgers, and it was like this was back in the '80s. When I was broke and whatever. It was drive-through only, and it was $2.99, a burger, fries, and a drink. And that burger and In-N-Out were great. I mean, they were good burgers. But that's what it reminds me of.
So you just said great and In-N-Out in the same sentence. You heard that, right?
I did hear that.
All right, so now we're moving on to the movies for this episode.
Things just changed real quick.
There's great, and then there's another level. There's Godzilla 54, which is Whataburger.
Oh, whatever.
There's In-N-Out, which could be, I guess, what movie did I give it for? Let's just say it's not Razorback. How about that? It's not Razorback.
Hey, he gave it a compliment.
McDonald's is Razorback. At least
In-N-Out is better than McDonald's. I'll take
everything is better than McDonald's.
I'll take it over Wendy's. I'll take it over McDonald's.
Would too.
I'll take it over.
I don't know about Wendy's.
I'd totally take In-N-Out over Wendy's.
Yeah,
there's
and
not
Burger
a question.
King and even Burger King. I'll take it over all those.
Now, maybe not the fries.
Yeah,
because Wendy's has got good fries. Not that In-N-Out doesn't, but we've talked about it before.
Wendy's got fresh burgers, though, man. They're good.
Dude, In-N-Out.
They're good.
I want to, I want to take you out to In-N-Out.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right, now that y'all have had to listen, let's talk about food again. We decided to do a trilogy for you guys. Originally, we said we were going to do a double feature, but we said, you know what? Let's just go balls to the wall and do a trilogy. Since Jurassic World just came out, Dominion, and it's finishing up its trilogy, we decided to do a trilogy of films that challenge the original Jurassic Park trilogy. And that's Roger Corman's amazing trilogy, the Carnosaur films.
I got one of those chicken sticks stuck in my throat.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of chicken sticks, we got a nice fresh bowl. Yeah, Ruben. If you couldn't tell, that Ruben may not be a fan of this trilogy, but we decided. So the Carnosaur Trilogy actually started out in 1993, came out before Jurassic Park, and totally in full Roger Corman style. It was cash crop, like he wanted to make money off of the promotion of Jurassic Park, and actually succeeded very well in that. Because the first movie was, for Corman, a very big hit, actually, and went on to do a trilogy of films. So we're going to do the Carnosaur films for you, and I'm stoked about it. I actually really like these movies, but that's just me. So let's jump into it, man. We're just going to hit you with all three trailers. That way we don't break it in between, as we go through each film. So here's the trailers for the trilogy.
What the hell is it? Looks like some kind of lizard.
The Earth was not made for us. She was made for the dinosaurs. The Earth was scaled to their dimensions. Human beings are ants crawling through their living rooms.
That's really fabulous. Like a great theme park.
An experiment they couldn't control.
Wait, what's going on here?
Has unleashed
What the hell was that?
the ultimate predator. Carnosaur 2.
What is this? They found a way to bring back dinosaurs.
Move it!
We found a nest. Dozens of them. Things have started breeding.
Oh, the access road for steel. We're safe in here.
Attention all personnel. Evacuation crew is on the surface. Proceed to emergency exits immediately.
Angrier, deadlier, hungrier. Carnosaur 2. Extinction is a thing of the past.
Experiment was under control.
What is it? These creatures are extremely dangerous.
They thought they could keep it under cover.
It's classified.
They thought they had all the answers.
What the hell are you talking about?
Genetically reconstructed replicas of prehistoric dinosaurs.
But they were wrong. Carnosaur 3.
All teams back to the freight elevator now!
Valentine. Carnosaur 3, Primal Species.
How drunk are we gonna get?
Welcome to Good Beer, Bad Movie Night, where each month we drink finely crafted brews while watching terrible films in order to see just how drunk you have to get to enjoy them. So tune in and join Troy.
Kilmore Crites.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Thank you.
Dave.
I have the weirdest
and Pete.
IPAs are ales, meaning they are bottom fermented. Excuse me, they are top fermented. I that up. Try that again.
As we drag Kathleen,
Hear me.
kicking and screaming through an alcohol-fueled podcast dedicated to movies of questionable quality and the frosty adult beverages that help make them tolerable. Good Beer, Bad Movie Night. Clearly, it's the beer's fault.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
All right, and that was, yeah. They're making fun of me in between on our commercial break there because I'm stuffing Chico Sticks in my mouth and they're still there. So that was the trailers for Carnosaur 1, 2, and 3. Then, of course, you got the commercial from our good friends over at Good Beer, Bad Movie Night. Make sure to go check them out, listen to their shows. There's absolutely awesome episodes. And make sure and check out and support every show we got at the Give Me Back My Podcast network. Right now, Charlie and Nate are still stuck in space, and they've done a great job surviving up there. If you haven't seen, they dealt with Lockout with Guy Pearce, and then they got to spend some time with Warwick Davis with Leprechaun 4 in space. So I can't wait to see what else they come up with in space. So I think they're doing a better job up there than Joel, Tom Servo, and Crow currently. But go check out all the shows. You can find all of us on Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias. Then, of course, you check out all the shows on, Podbean, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, the works. So, all right, let's jump into these movies. The first Carnosaur film came out in May of 1993. It was directed by Adam Simon, based off of a book called Carnosaur. Now, this movie starred Diane Ladd for a very special reason I'll explain in a minute. Raphael Sbarge, Jennifer Runyon, pretty much people don't really, you don't really know. But Clint Howard's in it, and everybody knows Clint Howard. My favorite movie with Clint Howard is Ticks. Like, I thought he was great in Ticks. Like, when his face starts just bulging up, and it's just, plus Ticks is just so nasty. But so it came out in 1993 and had actually a pretty big budget for Roger Corman, because we know Roger Corman does not do big budget films at all. When I say big budget, don't think I'm saying like, oh, he put like $3 million into this. No, still less than $1 million.
And you can tell it.
Yeah, he put $850,000 into this film, and that's heavy for Roger Corman, but he did it because he wanted, a better special effects than what he normally gets. Now, this thing had a very small theatrical run, and still managed to pull in $1.8 million theatrically. That's not home video release money. That's just the very short run he did in theaters. So this movie actually went on to become a pretty big success for Roger. So much so that, and he knew it, that they were already prepping for the second film before this one was even released. Now, the movie's kind of, I don't want to say hard to follow. It's not. So you got Diane Ladd, who plays a scientist, Jane Tiptree, who works for a company called Eunice, and they don't know what she's doing.
That name is just, to me, is just odd. Tiptree.
Yeah, it's a very weird name.
I thought, where's this?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the name. Yeah. Fan of the character, but not a fan of the name. So she's doing research for this company called Eunice, and the government's like, okay, what's she doing? Because she's kind of a wild card in the past, and she went missing, they thought, for a while because she's very controversial, and the guys from Eunice were like, oh, we've got her, and she's doing research, we just can't ask questions for another 18 months. So you come to find out that while this is, they're trying to look for, what's Jane doing, you got this small town of Climax, Nevada, and you see these two guys load up a chicken truck with chickens, and one of the chicken eggs blows up because it's not really a chicken egg, it's a dinosaur egg, and this dinosaur gets on the loose and starts killing people. And while this is going on, the people in town, mainly the women, start developing fevers, and they're getting sick, and they don't know why. So as the plot goes through, you find out that Diane Ladd's character in this movie,
Call her Jane.
Good old Jane, has brought back dinosaurs, and she has infected. It's a virus that started out in chickens, but the virus moves from chicken eggs to women, and so women are starting to get sick. And the whole goal of this is that the virus kills the males, Well, kills the males and females. But the women end up dying because they pretty much give birth to a gigantic dinosaur egg that just they cannot survive. And that's her goal, is to wipe out mankind. Well, while this is going on, our main characters of the movie, played by Raphael Sbarge, and then what's her name? Jennifer Bunyan, something like that.
Jennifer Runyon.
Okay, so they play Doc and Thrush, and no, I'm not making these names up. So Doc is, Raphael is a night security guard at a construction zone where they're putting a big highway in that happened to actually be an old dinosaur highway, according to these, I don't want to call them tree huggers, you know what I mean? But these, ecological supporters, which Thrush is part of. Thrush and Doc end up kind of falling for each other, and they get caught in the middle of this dinosaur running rampant there in Climax. She gets sick, and so he follows the trail back to Eunice, to Dr. Jane Tippett, and finds out that she's created this virus to wipe out mankind. And he goes and tries to save Thrush by taking the actual raw virus material to make an antiviral, which he never does. He just injects her with the raw virus material. So I don't know what in the world he was thinking there. But so while he does this, of course, the velociraptor, actually, I'm sorry, it's a Deinonychus that has gotten loose, has been growing and killing people. And it's up to one of the other cool characters that's not really in it a lot, as Sheriff Fowler, played by Harrison Page. And there's an awesome showdown in town at Climax between the sheriff and the dinosaur, where they ultimately both kill each other. After they kill each other, the T-Rex gets loose when Doc escapes Eunice, and because they've got a T-Rex all just downstairs ready to go, and so the T-Rex gets loose, and happens because he follows the dinosaur highway, follows right through to where Doc and Thrush are, and they have to get out in their little bobcats and try and kill the T-Rex, which they do. So it's bobcats versus T-Rex, and the bobcats win. That's pretty much this movie. Oh, and then at the end, the government wipes everybody out because they got to stop this infection, because this infection has grown to like 99% infected cells for Climax, Nevada.
Yeah.
That's the movie in short. Now, the book I have not read, but I heard that the movie is quite different from the book in a few aspects, but unfortunately I can't tell you what that is. All I can tell you is how awesome of a movie this is for a B-movie film. I'll go ahead and start with this one because I do want to get a couple things out of the way.
Wait, what did you just say again?
It's awesome for a B film.
Okay, there we go.
I like it. Here we go. Low budget. Let's remember that. $850,000. So, this movie, because we go to the next ones, I will say had a decent cast. Not a great cast. What good characters and actors they did have, a la Harrison Page as Sheriff Fowler, and Clint Howard as Slim in the movie. They were the best ones, and they both die, unfortunately. Well, everybody dies, which is part of the reason why I like this movie. I'm always a big fan of a movie where everybody dies. But, so having Clint Howard in it was great. The acting from most of the characters is kind of subpar, especially from Jennifer Runyon as Thrush. Raphael did a pretty decent job as Doc. Like, there's several scenes in there where I'm like, okay, you're carrying the story. You're doing pretty good. I think about the scene where, he reports, all the group Thrush is with, where they tried to lock themselves up on the construction machinery and break things. When he goes to their camp, the sheriff's like, "Oh, is she here?" And he sees her, and you see there's that moment. He carried that pretty well. So he's got his moments. Then he's got other moments when he's arguing with Jane Tiptree. Hey, I said it right that time.
You did.
at Eunice, where I'm like, you are not carrying this scene at all. Like, it's terrible. So not the best acting. Diane Ladd, however, I thought played the role very well for a female mad scientist, because when her dialogue, and I say it for this reason because I know Ruben probably hates it, but the reason why I think she did so well at being a crazy mad scientist is because, and this is probably the only time where I think badly written dialogue actually helped. Because nothing she sounded crazy. Just reading the dialogue, I'm like, you're making no sense. You have lost your freaking mind. Like, what are you talking about? And I think that actually lent to the character. Like, Diane Ladd, she's a great actress. And so she did well, but the dialogue was so, what the heck is she talking about, that it actually lent to the character a little bit. So I liked it for that. But I thought it was really cool that they had Diane Ladd in it, because do you guys know who her daughter is?
No.
Cheryl Ladd?
Cheryl? No.
No.
That might be her mom. I don't know.
No. Diane Ladd's daughter is none other than Laura Dern. Who
that's right.
That right?
Who is Ellie from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
So while daughter is run away from dinosaurs on an island, mom is giving birth to a dinosaur baby and trying to kill the world. So I thought that was absolutely awesome going into this movie, knowing I was like, that's pretty cool. That's definitely why you hired Diane Ladd for this.
And now I'm thinking about Cheryl Ladd.
Ruben's not going to stay on track for these movies at all.
I'm easily distracted.
But for this one, the reason why I like this movie so much is, and I talked about the guys before the show, I'm one of the few that probably walked out of theaters from Jurassic Park. Well, I enjoyed Jurassic Park, and it is a really good movie. And it did wonders for special effects, for computer effects, even though the practical effects from Stan Winston are still better than the computer effects in the movie. I walked away.
Oh, I got.
Are you promoting
CGI
over Stan Winston? What's wrong? No, Stan Winston's practical effects in Jurassic Park.
Hey, be careful. We cannot get to him. He's in Texas.
I guess. I don't know.
When he starts having those chest pains.
But so I mean, I love Jurassic Park, but I walked away very disappointed. Now, that may be because of the fact that my father let me watch some brutal monster movies. I'm used to, like, if there's a monster of any kind, even a dinosaur, it's going to be bloody, and it's going to be nasty, and people are going to die in horrific ways. I walked out of Jurassic Park going, where was the blood? Where was the people dying? Like, the best I got was Samuel L. Jackson's arm falling down on Laura Dern's shoulder. I'm like, come on, I can't even see what happened. Or when the one guy is hunting, or thinks he's hunting down the one Velociraptor, and she comes out from the side, and he's like, clever girl. I'm like, oh, my God.
Now, I will say Roger Corman does gore.
Oh, wonderfully well. Wonderful. So,
yeah, he does do gore.
I got to see Carnosaur before Jurassic Park. And when I walked out of Jurassic Park, I went back to Carnosaur. I will admittedly tell you, the audience, I have watched Carnosaur 1 more than Jurassic Park 1. Just because if I want to watch a dinosaur movie, I want it to be as realistic as possible. And there's a scene in Carnosaur where the dinosaur is gnawing on her leg. And it made me straight up think of the Samuel L. Jackson scene where he's not in it, but where his arm falls off. But so where the dinosaur is like, has bit the one girl's from the goody two-shoe nature people's group. I don't know what you call them. And he's like, he bite it by the leg, then he picks it up like a turkey leg. And he just starts gnawing on it, and there's blood everywhere and just flesh. And I'm like, this is fantastic. Like, this is what I want to see. So for me, I got more of what I wanted out of a dinosaur movie out of Carnosaur. Granted, overall, is it a better movie than Jurassic Park? I mean, it honestly is not. But for me, nostalgically, and what I want out of a dinosaur film, it definitely filled the need way more than Jurassic Park did for me. Which is why I gave it a pretty pretty decent rating for that film. So practical effects were
compared to mine.
Yeah, compared to you two, yeah. And then the other thing too was just little things that I picked up. Because in the 90s, man, I mean, Mark and attest, I was about every low budget monster movie I could find, and there's the scene.
Still are in 2020.
Yeah, 20-something years later.
I think he's worse now.
Probably.
He's probably right.
There's a set in the film that is from another favorite film of mine. It's low budget, Project Metal Beast. The corridor that they run down, or that Doc runs down when he's trying to leave Eunice, that tunnel corridor, is the same set from the tunnel corridor in Project Metal Beast.
Wow.
So 1993, as a kid, I'm going, hey, I've seen that. I have seen that. Or not in 93, but if you look back, I'm like, I've seen it. Where is that? And then I watch Metal Beast, I'm like, that's it, So I mean, to me, that little stuff I pick up is pretty cool. So I enjoyed this movie. Special effects, weren't the best. I mean, they did all practical effects. So the blood's awesome. The T-Rex is, well, it's goofy looking, but the shots where it's more close up with the Bobcats versus the full T-Rex, I think if they took the full T-Rex shots out and left the close up ones, it'd have been way better of a fight scene and a little more believable. But other than that, I mean, I thought it was great. My only complaint was probably the soundtrack, because it just didn't seem to fit right. It did at the very beginning when they're showing that chicken footage, like the chickens getting massacred. Yeah. Like, it fit there, but then it didn't, that same sound feel didn't fit anywhere else in the movie. It was really weird.
I couldn't figure out how all the chickens got out of the cages.
Yeah, I don't who knows?
I didn't understand that.
I just saw blood everywhere, and I'm like, I'm getting ready. I want to see something, So,
oh yeah,
ones. But Mark, you go for it, man.
obviously we have different perspectives on the Carnosaur versus Jurassic Park.
Oh, I'm sure we do. I'm sure I do compared to most people.
When I look at it, when I see Carnosaur, have you ever seen those? I don't know. It's on social media. You see the videos of the guy in the blown up brown T-Rex.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Carnosaur to me.
Actually, dinosaurs look so much better at Carnosaur than that.
Jurassic Park, they look
not much better.
They look like real dinosaurs. Okay, so that's,
the Stan Winston practical effects ones look like real dinosaurs.
It was. It wasn't a good movie. I just have to let you know that just from the start. I thought the acting was terrible.
Even from Clint Howard.
Yes, even from him. To me, the plot of the movie really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me on where they were going with it.
Yeah, it was kind of all over the place. I will say that.
And so I was really disappointed with that.
I blame Adam Simon on that one because he wrote the screenplay.
And I thought, even when I first showed it to you way back when, I thought I was doing something pretty nice, but I may have created.
Oh, you did something great. What are you talking about?
I created a monster in the making.
You made a little kid's dream come true.
Roger Corman does what he does. He invests little and he makes money.
Yeah.
And for that part, you got to give him a thumbs up. He does the business,
and he's a marketing genius. What was the tagline for the first one? The first one, the tagline was, "This is no walk in the park." Come on, dude, that was awesome. That sold me on that. I think it could have been worse, but that tagline was awesome.
So I just think overall was disappointed. Watched it again, was disappointed, and watched it again, was disappointed. And so a soundtrack couldn't help this. There wasn't a whole lot that could help it. The only reason I gave it the stomps that I did is because I remember me and you watching that movie years ago. And so for me, I give it. We'll just let Ruben, Ruben finish this and let it continue.
Ruben, Carnosaur 1.
Where it's at.
Well, after watching Carnosaur 1. I don't know what was gorier, the kills or Clint Howard's eating.
Oh my gosh, yes, his eating was
so
my
gross, God, man. Dude, that's the grossest thing I ever saw in my life. That guy cannot eat like a human being. I'm like, what the heck? And then Corman would just close up right on his mouth while he was eating. And I'm like, what the heck?
It was great.
This is worse than the dinosaurs. Okay, so let me just point that out before we start. The only thing this film has going for it is the gore. And
there's plenty of that in this movie.
And the gore. That's it. Story was terrible. Acting was terrible. Even Diane Ladd couldn't save this. I even thought, but then of course I thought, well, she was just given a bad script. She was not believable to me as a mad scientist who wanted to annihilate. She seems more like a nice grandma. She does somebody want to annihilate every human being on Earth. I just didn't understand how this nice lady could want everybody dead.
She does. She has that. You're right. I will give you a little bit credit there because there's that moment in the beginning when she's in in her offices or whatever, and she's watching the cameras and they're loading the chickens, and then the one egg hatches or whatever, and she kind of leans down looking, and she puts her hand next to her mouth and puts her pinky in her mouth. I'm like, oh, she's just so cute. You know what I mean? Like, as an older lady, you're right. That didn't lend credit to her mad scientist at all.
It just didn't. It was not believable to me. Now, I go into this film, all three of these. Okay, it's Roger Corman, so it's going to be cheapest effects, and it's not going to be the best. Okay, now I will never say that it's just because not just because it has not all practical effects are better than CGI. Okay.
They are in Jurassic Park.
It's just that. No, I don't think so.
You're going to say that go back and watch Jurassic Park 1. You're going to say that Stan Winston's practical effects were not as good looking
to Carnosaurus.
No, I'm not comparing. No. They're way better than Carnosaur.
What are we? Are we talking about Stan Winston or are we talking about Carnosaur?
There you go. Tell him.
No, I'm telling you. You're saying CGI looks better. No, dude.
No, what I'm telling you It's not all practical effects, a.k.a. Carnosaur.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Compared to Jurassic Park CGI.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm saying not all practical effects equals better than CGI. I'm saying Carnosaurs. Look, in all three movies, sometimes I think they just had a dinosaur head on a stick, and they were just poking it at the camera.
I don't know, man. I'll argue.
I love that. I love that.
I will argue some shots in the next two films standing on par with
like what
the
it is.
CGI.
They just got a broomstick, put the dinosaur head on it, and just had it attack the camera. Yeah. That's all they did. And they did, but we'll get to the next film. But man, to me, of the three that we're going to review, I gave this one the weakest rating. And just even from what I read, Roger Corman even said he wasn't able to do some things in this movie that he was able to do in the next two.
Yeah, he did say that.
He was able to do that. So, I watched it, then I did my research on it, and then I said, well, hopefully it'll get better. And it did. Not much, but it did. You still had the broomstick in the dinosaur head, and it seems like whenever the dinosaur attacked somebody, the gore was always the blood in a straight line across the wall. It never splattered. It didn't ooze out. It was like a big splash against the wall, and it was always a straight line. Like somebody got a paintbrush and just went across the wall with it, with the red paint. That's what it seemed like to me. On all three films.
About, man? Like when chicken blows up in the car, it splatters all over the back of that truck.
Okay, when there's an explosion type deal, yeah, but when there's an arm.
I will say, with the Jeep, and the Jeep scene, like it is pretty, like condiment bottle squeeze. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like the dinosaur grabbed the arm, blood spurting out, and just kind of did. I can't explain it. Just went on a straight line across the wall, like he was trying to do some kind of modern art or something, or like, oh, I'm gonna become a millionaire here.
Hey, they were. We did forget to mention. I mean, they were mixed with human DNA, so that it may have been artistic.
That's
dinosaur,
true, and that might explain. Explain the dinosaur eating an arm like a turkey leg. I'm like, really? A dinosaur said, well, let me grab it with my hand and eat it like a human being.
Great. I love that scene. Because the whole time the dinosaur's just like, audibly going, and I'm like, this is so good, man.
So that's, the positive thing is the gore. The gore was admittedly better than Jurassic Park, because I don't think Jurassic Park was made for the gore audience.
That's because they're lying to you about how dinosaurs are. Of course, should be handled.
So I don't know. I don't know about that. So we can go on now.
Let's move to Carnosaur 2, the sequel. So Carnosaur 1 obviously did good enough that it was a major hit for Corman, and they started almost immediately on Carnosaur 2. Carnosaur 2 came out in 1995. John Buechler did the special effects for the entire trilogy, and he pretty much was like the only person who returned for the entire trilogy. We got a different director this time with Louis Murnau, which Louis Murnau was actually who was supposed to direct the first film, but because of scheduling couldn't do it, and they brought in Adam Simon. So Louis Murnau directed the second film, came out in February 1995. Totally different cast. We've got actually some really good actors in this one, some actually Emmy-nominated actors and things, like Oscar-nominated actors in this film. You got John Savage as one, Cliff DeYoung, Don Stroud's even in it, but an actor who I'm going to praise from here on out, you'll hear me talk a lot about, is Rick Dean.
Just think, man, you could have been Dino Chap.
That ain't funny, man.
So what happens is that this one picks up after the second film, or into the first film. They've wiped out, you can find out briefly, the infection, but there are still some eggs that survived. And they have taken these eggs and they have hidden these eggs inside the government's Yucca Mountain nuclear facility. Because, what's better than human mixed DNA dinosaurs?
Yeah,
let's just throw some radiation in the mix.
Radiation.
So the movie starts off, and you meet one of the main characters, whose name is Jesse, played by kid Ryan Johnson, who actually does a fairly good job in the role. So Jesse is messing around in the tunnels down, in Yucca Mountain and like the mine areas and stuff, and doesn't realize the dinosaurs have hatched and are running through and starting to kill people. Jesse comes out kind of above ground where they've got like the facilities where everybody lives. You know, they're staying at the government facility and a restaurant, and the dinosaurs just go full on attack and killing everybody at the beginning of the film. Jesse is the only one that survives. So they lose communication from Yucca Mountain Flats, and so the government brings in Tom McQuaid, who's played by Clifton Young, to hire a emergency, specialist maintenance crew to go in, find out what's going on, repair whatever systems need to be repaired, because they're not aware that the dinosaurs are hatched and killed everybody. So they make it out there with their crew. Of course, Don Stroud, I mentioned a minute ago, plays Kahane, the guy who's in charge of this crew, who's pretty much led, though, by Jack Reed, the character, who's played by John Savage. And then, of course, the only one you really need to know about is Monk, who's played by Rick Dean, and is absolutely the comedic relief to this film and is pure gold, everything that comes out of this dude's mouth. So they make it out there to Yucca Mountain and realize, it's not a malfunction, it's dinosaurs running rampant. And so they're trapped in here with dinosaurs because what is a straight, and I will say straight ripoff of Aliens. One of the dinosaurs gets in the helicopters, it's taken off, like the alien on the LV-426 scene, and it crashes, kills the pilot, and blows up, and so they're stuck. And to make matters worse, they're stuck in here with these dinosaurs. The dinosaurs have messed things up so bad that now a nuclear meltdown is about to happen. So it's either find some way to get out of here, or we're all going to blow up and die. And so obviously, dinosaurs start knocking people off left and right, and it comes down to pretty much Jack and Jesse, who you find out Jack lost a son, and he's kind of grown attached to Jesse in this movie, and Jesse with him as well, because Jesse doesn't have a dad. He's actually there in a facility because his uncle worked there. And so it's they end up managed to make out a rescue call. Government sends out an evac helicopter. They get up top and manage to survive and make it out. Not before the next T-Rex shows up, comes out somehow, makes it out to the outside, and then Jesse has to fight it with another piece of construction equipment. This time it's like what's it called? It's not a bobcat.
It's a forklift, isn't it? It's a giant forklift in it.
It's
like a heavy duty.
It's like a forklift, yeah, but it's got one of the actual claw drops on the
Yeah, it's got the claw drops on it. Yeah.
So a la repeat of the first final battle. Except this one was done a lot better. And he ends up opening this big shaft door that goes all the way down 20 stories to the bottom of the facility. And you did watch this, right, Mark?
I did, but at one point he tells Jesse, the one guy, 150 feet all the way down.
Oh, yeah, that's right, 150 feet. That's what it is, 150 feet.
Yeah.
That's
what I started saying.
That's key, yeah, 150 feet. So he, not 20 stories, my bad. Yeah. So he ends up knocking the T-Rex down there, kills him, and gets on a helicopter. They fly out, place explodes, Jack and Jesse survive. That's all that matters. Boom. Yeah. That's the first movie. This movie, and I will just go in the same order.
Thank you.
If Carnosaur was to dinosaurs the first Alien film, Carnosaur 2 absolutely 110%, and I think they did it on purpose, is Aliens for dinosaurs. Yeah. I mean, they pretty much modeled
first one's Jurassic Park, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just modeled it completely. Down to even like, Rick Dean as Monk can very much be seen as Bill Paxton.
Yeah, because I know as a fact that on the weekend they do hunt dinosaurs. I've seen them.
What I mean? And from Aliens, Jack Reed, John Savage's character, can very much be a combination of Sigourney Weaver and Michael Biehn as characters from Aliens, and then of course Jesse would be Newt. So I mean, there's just tons of. I mean, they pretty much just did. I mean, they did. They were like, we're gonna make Aliens but dinosaurs. Now, things I love about this one. Because there's not a whole lot I don't like, because I feel they definitely upped the ante and made a better film this time around. And I think as we go through, we'll ultimately agree on that one. The dinosaurs looked better because they pretty much, they were able to make the modifications they wanted to, that John Buechler was able to do with the dinosaurs, because it's pretty much the same suits, but then new heads and a few tweaks that they were able to make them look better, because this time you got a lot of action, a ton of dinosaur action. This one way more than the first, and you got men in suits in this time around. It was full on. No real puppetry until no heads on a broomstick until the T-Rex shows up. That's when you get the puppetry and animatronics and stuff.
Yeah.
And while this time around, even though they used some footage from the first film, this T-Rex definitely looked better than the first time around. They did better with this one. Again, it's all the same dinosaurs. They just modified modified some of the suits and the animatronics and the puppets for the T-Rex. Dinosaurs looked a whole lot better. For dinosaurs that were supposed to be mixed with human DNA, they finally acted like it in this film, because you see, they start laying the tripwires with dynamite to try and kill the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs get smart to it. You know what I mean? And they start knocking pipes down and things to blow up this dynamite so they don't kill it as they're trying to hunt them down. The dinosaurs, I think, look way better in this movie. Definitely more Velociraptor-esque. They look nasty. I think there's some phenomenal scenes. I look back at the first attack scene when the dinosaurs start attacking everybody up at the little diner area up top. There's one scene in particular where it's just a quick front shot, and you see them just mouth open, Jaws style, just coming right at the screen. I was like, that's fantastic. Like, they did a lot better job. Actors did really good, I think, in this one. Storyline, while was a complete alien ripoff, they didn't do too bad with the storyline. You also had Moses, played by Miguel Nunez, who's the black guy who didn't get killed first, so don't worry, they didn't play on the norms of a horror movie there. But to me, he was a precursor to the character Spoon from Dog Soldiers, because he obviously gets killed by a dinosaur, but he actually tries to fight the dinosaur off while giving like sarcastic remarks. It was absolutely it was so good. It was great.
Yeah.
And he had some good jokes in the movie throughout too. So I felt the cast did a really good job, enough that they're very memorable, especially Rick Dean as Monk. He is absolutely hysterical. And there's a rip from Predator too, because he plays.
There you go.
In the helicopter, he's playing the song from Predator on his little his little radio, just like Jesse Ventura did. So the cast was great. I thought, John Savage did a good job. Of course, Cliff DeYoung, I mean, at the caliber of actor he is, he always does a good job at whatever role he plays. And he did a very good job as McQuaid, there to get the job done, doesn't want him to find out the truth, but then turns around, he's kind of just the a-hole type character, but then you end up loving him because he's like, man, no, he kind of turns heel and becomes the good guy too. And him and Monk actually end up dying together, just like the scene from Aliens, with Corman and Velasquez in the air ducts. You got them in the tunnels, and they blow up the dynamite and kill themselves. This movie was a complete ripoff of Aliens. I mean, it is Aliens through and through, and that's probably what they were like. We need to do this to make it better, because it probably helped. So. Special effects were a lot better this time around. Characters a lot better this time around. Rick Dean is absolutely hilarious. He is freaking so funny. Every line and his delivery of those lines in this movie are absolutely top notch, and I love the Monk character. And I don't have a ton of complaints. Soundtrack was a lot better this time around too. Keeping it in the facility, kind of dark, tight spaces, I think lended to this movie a little bit better. And I will state, since I've seen this, for almost 30 years now, this might be, it's definitely in, if I had to have a top list of my favorite B movie films, like B monster movies, so, like Blue Monkey, Watchers, Project Metal Beast, those type of movies. If Carnosaur 2 is not the top film in that list for me, it's a close second or third. Close second. Like, I enjoy this movie a lot and watch it a lot. So that's my spill on it. Mark.
Well, I agree with you. It definitely stepped up a little bit more than it did the first one. I enjoyed it. I like John Savage. I think he's
a great actor. He's
pretty
really
much
good.
all of his movies.
I mean, multiple.
It also,
nominated for a reason.
I think, still was pulling on the Jurassic Park, with the Velociraptors and then the T-Rex in the end, but also Aliens. So it's it was like I can't stand on my own type of movie. I've got to pull from all these other movies to get somebody to come out and watch this movie and talk about it, how they liked it. But again, I think the plot was a lot better.
You mean like Jurassic Park 2 Lost World couldn't be its own thing?
No.
I had to pull off the Lost World.
Sorry, Ruben. I didn't mean to go there with that. But I just think that overall, better movie. Stepped up. Seemed a little bit more prepared in making this movie. Obviously, and I don't know what the budget was.
I'm not sure what the budget was on this.
Maybe a little bit more in the budget. That I felt like it was definitely a step up, and for that I give it thumbs up on that.
Ruben?
Well, this one is definitely an improvement from the first one. I thought it was a lot better. You know, it's Roger Corman, so the ripoff is expected. So I don't gig it for that. Matter of fact, it improved it. That he said, you know what, I'm going to take what works. I'm going to build on it with my own characters. So I'm all right with that. But I think I messaged Sludge on this one. In the first 5 minutes of the film, I said, I already know how it's going to climax because they basically give it away. The kid's on the because his dad, I guess it's his dad that works there, right?
His uncle.
His dad.
Uncle. Yeah, he has no dad. Yeah.
So he has no dad. So his uncle works there. So he says, hey, they're down there. They find the dynamite. Him and some other kids, right? And his uncle finds them, gets them out of there. You're going to get a lot of trouble. So he goes, you stay here. So then there comes this worker and says, let me show you how to work this forklift. You want to try it?
Yeah.
So he gets in it. I'm like, well, here we go. He goes, you know this button right here? If you hit that opens and it drops 150 feet. And I messaged Sludge. I said, that's the climax. He just gave it away. And then the buttons on the forklift, it's not even like a remote control or anything. So how the heck does that open the door? It looked like a little hydraulic switch.
Yeah.
It's not a clicker. It's not even like a radio control thing. It's an actual switch on that forklift.
Hey man,
apparatus,
you're watching a Roger Corman film. You have to be able to suspend belief and stuff.
So I'm like, well, there you go. I already know what's going to happen. But as for the rest of the film, it was very alien-esque. As a matter of fact, it was just insert character here type of deal. But it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. And it's funny you're talking about the helicopter scene. You thought about Predator. I guess there's an age gap there. I thought about Apocalypse Now when they're on that helicopter playing that music.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's the
song.
Sorry, the song's from Apocalypse Now, but that made me think of Predator, the Jess Ventura character.
Yeah, so it reminded, that's the first thing that came to mind. And you said, I'm like, well, that's right, and Predator 2. And so, I thought it was all right. The characters were better in this one than they were in the first one. It was a huge improvement from the first one. Let's just put it that way. Would I still watch Jurassic Park over this? Yes. But I watched Lost. But I lost. Which one is it? The second one, Lost World?
No.
Yeah. Yes, I would. I would. I still would. But I have a story about that I'm saving about Jurassic Park, Lost World, and then you'll understand why. But I'm saving it for another day. You'll understand why
on that one.
Man, I just got a story that'll make you cry. I'm just guaranteed, or at least pull on your heartstrings. But I got a story for you. But maybe that's why. But it was an improvement, and I'm not going to complain too much about it. Even though it's a B- movie. Yeah, it's a B movie, but it's still a B-. As the first one was a C movie to me. It was not even close. Just to give you a ranking kind of deal of how I felt about one. Although one did have an Alien vibe because all the dinosaurs came shooting out of your stomach just like Alien.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I didn't think. So I forgot to mention that. So, but that's what Roger Corman does. So, like I said, I find it hard to gig him on that because he takes successful movies and makes very good. He's the Wish of the movie industry.
Yeah, he knows how to make money.
Yeah, exactly. He's man. That's all I gotta say about that one. This one's a lot more positive.
All right, we'll move on to the final film in the trilogy, Carnosaur 3 Primal Species. Now, this was the first one and only one of the three that actually didn't get a theatrical run, because first two actually got a small theatrical run for both of them, and this was the final installment for the Carnosaur series. Bum, bum, bum. Robin hopes so, but there's technically two quasi-sequels that don't really follow, but they continued on with the dinosaur films after this, but this was the actual end of the trilogy. This time around, they don't really, they say a little bit about what happens, but some of the dinosaur eggs have again survived, reappeared, but this time they've actually got the full-blown dinosaurs instead of the eggs, because some of them have survived, and I guess they've hatched, but you've got a group of terrorists who attack an army convoy at the very beginning of the movie, after one of the guys has to take a leak, and they won't pull over, so he just starts peeing off the back of the truck. It's like,
with people following them.
With people following them.
There's people behind them,
but they're attacked by a group of terrorists who think they are stealing two trucks of uranium.
And may I add, the worst looking. I don't know where they got these guys to play terrorists, but they look nothing like terrorists to me.
No, not at all. Not the leader may be close to like a low budget action movie terrorist, but nobody else in the crew. Nobody else. So these terrorists, they kill the army guys. They take the box trucks and go from what seems to be like, a la the woods of Montana to all of a sudden the shipping shores of L.A. Like they got there pretty quick. So they end up pulling into a dockside warehouse. Excuse me, with the trucks. And they're like, all right, let's get our score. They open it up and realize there's no uranium in this truck. There is, he says reptiles.
Lizards.
And,
there's a bunch of reptiles in there.
And the dinosaurs wake up. These are cooling trucks that they are sleeping in because the temperatures drop so much. Obviously, the noise and the rise in temperature, when they open it, wake the dinosaurs up. They come out, wipe out the terrorists completely. As they wipe them out, one man survives. He comes running outside the dock, and police have shown up because they've heard gunfire. Then they see this dude's all bloodied up, get him in the cop car, and he's making no sense, talking about monsters. Cops are like, what's going on? Let's go check it out. They go inside, see body parts all over the place. And then they hear a noise out of the second truck. They don't see any dinosaurs yet, but they hear a noise out of the second truck. So they go and they open the second truck, and it's the T-Rex that somehow manages to fix in a pretty small box truck. But,
I know it.
Suspend disbelief because I don't know how you fit in there. Not just him, another one of the raptors is in the truck too as well. So the dinosaurs have escaped amongst these warehouses. And it is up to our cast this time, which is a military crew. That is led by actor Scott Valentine, who was a pretty decent actor. His character Rance and his crew have to get called in by a Dr. Hodges, who's played by Jeanette Gunn, and then you actually get a fairly familiar face because Anthony Peck shows up in this movie. He plays General Mercer, who's the army guy who calls in Rance's crew to come play cleanup and stop these dinosaurs. But they're not allowed to kill them. They're supposed to capture them because Janet Gunn or Dr. Hodges wants them alive because they can cure cancer and all this other stuff because they're regenerative properties. So they have to go through and try to capture these dinosaurs. Now, pretty decent team, but the only person that needs to be mentioned here is the great Rick Dean. Makes a spectacular return. Even though he died as Monk in Carnosaur 2, I think Roger Corman knew he struck gold with him as that character. He brought him back, and he plays one of the soldiers on Rance's team, and his name's Polchek. And if he was funny in Carnosaur 2, he is 10 times freaking hilarious in this one. He is absolutely spot on perfect. I don't know if there's a better delivery man in a B-rated film than Rick Dean.
I think she's cute. I'm thinking about asking around. I was going to ask her after swimming, but I really can't swim that well. I do that frog thing, so I'm thinking about both. Polchek.
So he plays Polchek, who's definitely my favorite character in the movie. And so they have got to go through and capture these dinosaurs. Doesn't quite work. They come to find out that the dinosaurs have actually made a nest and are on a docked shipping container ship, or just a big shipping ship.
A big boat in the water.
Big boat in the water. And so they end up having to call in reinforcements. So we got some Marines that come in to help them because the dinosaurs have killed off pretty much everybody from Rance's crew except for Rance, Polchek, and Sanders, Polchek's best friend. And then they bring us another crew, and so the dinosaurs kill pretty much all of that crew, and you got a few left. And so they end up having to take the ship out into the harbor because they've got them trapped. At least they can keep civilians from getting killed. And of course, they end up killing pretty much everybody. And decide they're going to have to do, nuke from orbit type deal and C4 the whole ship and blow up and destroy all the dinosaurs. And everyone dies except for Rance and Hodges. They survive. But this one pretty simplistic plot this time around. They just are like, look, let's just give us something basic and throw in a few good characters and dinosaurs. That's all we need to do. overall, if you read reviews and critics, they think this was the worst of the three. We're going to change and go against the grain on that with this one, as far as because what we rated it. This one was a lot of fun. Like. Maybe one of the more fun direct-to-video movies I've seen. Like, the characters were enjoyable. Like, Scott Valentine, he did a great job as Rance, very believable. Actually, I think there's a scene in there when because Polchek starts to have a crush on
Proudfoot.
Proudfoot.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah. A female soldier from the Marines crew, and he's sitting there. They're waiting for a dinosaur. They've laid a trap for it, and he asks Rance, "Have you ever served with a woman?" And he starts telling the story about how him and a female soldier that he was in special forces with were trying to take out a drug cartel. And he tells this really good story about it. And it was actually a really good scene. Like, it was great. And then, of course, Dinosaur starts showing up at the end of his story, and Polchek's trying to get the detonator, and he starts pulling the Velcro, and so they're trying to be quiet, and Polchek's like, he's like, Polchek.
Yeah,
it's just Polchek.
You're a sick puppy, Polchek.
Yeah, well, that's what all the doctors say, but what do they know?
Why don't you try shock treatment? That might help.
It might.
So, I mean, to me, again, they used the same dinosaurs as the first one, or not the first one, the second one. I did no changes. It's the exact same suits. And so they looked great. They looked really good in a lot of the shots in this movie, going around the corners, dark hallways, especially in the ship. There's some really good shots in that. My only complaint in the movie, but again, Rick Dean is absolutely hilarious and saves everything wrong with these films. You even get wharf rats. That kind of came out where you got
he's pretty big, too.
Yeah, that was
they were huge.
They were massive.
I saw that like, wow.
But she mistakes one of them for a dinosaur, and she's like, "Oh, it's just wharf rats." I'm like, "That is a massive rat. That is the biggest rodent on Earth." But when they end up killing the T-Rex, they blow its head off in it. Yeah. When they blow the head off the puppet, there is a pole, the metal skeleton of the pole of the puppet.
Wait, what? Did you say a stick? Is that
yeah, what Ruben would call a stick. You finally get to see Ruben's, broomstick.
Yeah. He was right all along.
Now it's steel. It was wooden on the first one. Yeah, it was a wood stick in the first one.
Other than that, and it's not really a complaint because it's a low budget movie. But when the ship blows up and you get the exterior shots of the ship explosion, it's pretty cheap CGI. But I mean, what can you expect? Because this one had the lowest budget of all three films. But this one was just fun. I mean, you got military soldiers with a couple of them that are fairly likable. Again, especially Rick Dean and John Valentine. Very likable characters. Even Anthony Peck does a pretty good job. He's in it for a short time, unfortunately. But there's some great scenes, great freaking kills in this movie. I think there's a spot when they get one of the dinosaurs, they cut its tail off and shoot it, and they've killed it, and they bring it outside the warehouse in a tent, and then it comes back to life because it's regenerated. Yes. And the T-Rex comes through and bites the one dude's head off, and it's just, there's if you didn't get enough blood in the first two films, this
one's the bloodiest.
Oh yeah,
this one's the bloodiest.
Overboard, Evil Dead level overboard. So I enjoyed this one, man. I really, really, really enjoyed this one. I hadn't seen it in a long time and kind of forgot about. I remember bits and pieces of it, but then watching it again, I'm like, my gosh, dude, this was more fun than I thought. And I'm gonna say it's because freaking Rick Dean, dude, he cracked me up through this whole movie, man. It's sad that he passed away because I would have loved to have. Try to have gotten him on an interview. I actually went to look. I'm like, he passed away in 2013, I think. But I will be finding more of his movies to watch because he's absolutely fantastic. What about you, Mark?
Yeah. And again, I agree. I mean, each movie seemed to step up. Probably not really weird on my part, but you'll think it's crazy. This was my first time seeing this movie when I watched it because. The first two. The first two didn't do too much for me. I wasn't going to give the third one a go around.
The trilogy box for this is one of the more expensive DVD sets.
Really?
Yes, it is.
You close to $200 if you can find a copy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was kind of a step up from the other two as far as the plot and the characters. I liked the characters. Even more, and it seemed to be, maybe it's because they got him out on the ship, whatever it was, it kind of broke away from the first two a little bit. and made it a little bit more exciting to watch. The special effects I thought were good, and definitely you had the gore. You can't miss it. Yeah, but there still was the same kind of overall tones from it. When they cut the tail off the. And you see it growing, and the one guy, the one guy saying, "Hey, because he sees it.
What is it? Did you just cut this dude's whacker off?"
It was like, oh god,
I'm no dumb donkey.
Yeah. So I mean, but overall, I think it was an improvement to finish out the trilogy. I say, there's maybe some others out there, but I think overall. Good character. Roger Corman did what Roger Corman does, and was smiling all the way to the bank, I believe.
Oh, definitely,
and, because definitely improved each and every one, and that's he's one of those guys where it's like I don't know until I watch the movie, and so he could put whatever garbage he wants out there. People are going to watch it because it's Roger Corman.
Yeah, absolutely,
and I think that's one of his plays that takes him all the way to the bank, is that he is who he is. And when you get ready to watch one of his movies, it's going to be cheap, and, you're not going to sure how to take it, but you're going to make sure you have to watch all of it. So I'm a thumbs up. You, Ruben?
Actually, per the critics, 2 is the best of the 3, but I actually enjoyed this one, even though 2 had the better story. But this one I like better. First of all, it didn't feel like a ripoff. Story-wise
right,
and all
exactly.
that. It didn't feel like a ripoff. It felt like an original story. Yes, it was dinosaurs. It was in a warehouse, but for some reason the feel wasn't the same as the first 2. The first 2 was straight up. I saw this in another movie. Oh, I saw this in another movie. This one was more. Original, I guess would be the word. Yes, you had the dinosaurs, same as Jurassic Park or whatever, but by now, after 3 and watching the other 2, this one felt a lot. Like I said, I really felt this one was original. You had 2 sets of elite teams, which you don't see. Usually it's one elite team, and they lead. Yeah. So I thought that was cool that they did the Marines and the Army, and then there was like a little contest on who was tougher. And Proudfoot arm wrestled.
Yeah.
Arm wrestled them, and then she said she was right-handed, and she was actually, he barely won, and I think she let him win.
She did.
She blinked his eye.
Yeah.
She blinked his eye at him, and then she turns out to be left-handed, which means she wasn't even arm wrestling with her strongest arm, and and I thought that was cool. So I liked how the 2 teams started off like, oh, we're the best. No, we're the best. And then they end up just working together. And again, because the very attractive female scientist wanted to save the dinosaurs. Somehow they're supposed to capture the dinosaur with no weapons whatsoever. I'm like, is she crazy or something? Until she saw the dinosaurs and what they did, then she changed her mind.
Yeah, then
never mind.
Like,
she changed her mind. Yeah, we can take them out. And by the way, I saw Proudfoot. I'm like, she looks familiar. She was on a Seinfeld episode.
Oh, was she?
Oh.
Yeah, she was. She played a supermodel in a Seinfeld episode. So I don't know how you guys know about Seinfeld, but she played a supermodel that George was dating because she thought that he dated a supermodel before. So she took him to some warehouse where there was a secret supermodel nightclub. I don't know if you guys remember that. Anyway, she was a supermodel in that episode.
I can tell you this much. I'm gonna remember that for trivia, just in case.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I just gave you. I should have kept that to myself.
Thanks, Ruben.
Thank you, Ruben.
Appreciate that.
But she immediately looked familiar to me. That's the only, other than Dean, there wasn't too many familiar faces. But I like this. This one actually, of all the 3, this one was the most fun to watch and the most original. And the effects were just as good, and it had the most gore. So if you like gore, this is the one for you, because there is a lot of gore and there's a lot of kills in this movie. Gory kills, I should say. I think there was
definitely
30 kills in that. In 2, there was 30 kills, but in 3, this one there were all good kills, good solid kills in this one.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's it. Yeah.
So
this one. Yeah. very good, solid kills. And if I remember the ending, that's why I texted Sludge. Please tell me there's not another one, because it left the door. It left the door.
It did. It did.
There's that door getting swung right open. What are you trying to do to me? But all in all, I like the third one the best. I mean, to our listeners, give them all a look-see, and let us know which one you like the best. But for me, it's the critics say it's number 2. For me, it's number 3.
Yeah, and we definitely,
like the best.
as a whole, as a crew, we definitely went against the grain, because if you go online and read about the third film, you're going to hear that it's the worst. They're absolutely wrong. Me personally, I love the second one the most for a few reasons, but we'll get to that when we do the stomp rating here in a moment. But I mean, as far as the films go, the third, I mean, and it's not often that a trilogy of films ends on a high note. More times than not, the second film is the big banger. You know what I mean? Like, even if you go to to Aliens, you know what I mean? Everyone's got their favorite of those, and the first one is detrimental for a reason, and is the best for a reason. But so many argue Aliens was the best of those. You go to the original Star Wars trilogy, Empire is regarded as the better. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times the third film is the lackluster one. You know what I mean? You look at trilogies like the Jurassic Park trilogies. I think the third one was the weakest of that original trilogy. So that to constantly raise the bar and meet that.
Well, it's tough.
Pretty good.
It's tough.
It is.
Yeah, and it's tough to do that. I mean, it's tough to usually by the third one, and a lot of movies by the third one.
Critters 3.
Yeah,
they're
just reaching. They're just reaching for that bank account. You know. Jaws 3D comes to mind.
Oh, man. See, I can't decide between that one if I like it more or Revenge more. Like, it's so difficult between those two. But
man, to me, Jaws 3D is like, what the...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, that's for another day. That's a story for another day.
So,
I think to reach that it's actually an accomplishment. To have that third movie actually be a good one. And you talk about the original Star Wars trilogy. Jedi isn't as good as Empire, but to put out that kind of movie, that quality of a movie,
it's very hard to do.
It's very hard to put out a quality movie,
especially when you're on the level Corman's at. You don't have millions in the bank to throw at a film,
right?
So
that lends even more credit to that the fact that was better than the other two. Because it's Roger Corman, he's not given a huge budget. He doesn't have that backing that these big studios, that you get from these big studios.
No, not at all.
So that you got to respect them for that.
And this one definitely, because you've got. We were alluding to it. Ruben was like, "Please tell me that he did," because he did. He messaged me. Please tell me there's no more films. And there's not technically, in the continuation of the story here, because these all do kind of run together in one story. I mean, it does. They do try to follow, true to suit of the film prior to it, but they did make 2 more films that some people consider part of the Carnosaur franchise, and that was a movie that came out in '97, I believe, called Raptor, which just used stock footage from these 3 films. There was nothing new, and then there was one that came out in I think 2001 or 2003 called The Eden Project or The Eden Formula, something like that. That was garbage. That movie was absolutely terrible. So I mean, there was, this did enough to where even 2 more movies were trying to capture off the success that Corman had from this trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, and to give you an idea for those who don't know Roger Corman and listen to our show, I mean, he's the B movie king of Hollywood. Most actors you wouldn't even imagine, he found and made their career. Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger. That's because of Roger Corman, Sid Haig. Ton of people. But I mean, and to show you that Corman knows what he's doing in his genre, in his niche of films, the man has 571 film credits under his belt.
Wow, that is a bunch.
And he has stated, and it's been quoted in a lot of coverage on him, he's never lost a dime. Never lost a dime out of 571 movies. He has either made his money back or made profit. That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
Very impressive. So if there's one king of Hollywood, in my opinion, it's Roger Corman, and I think he showed it off in the Carnosaur Trilogy. So let's find out what the Stomp rating was from us. It's Stompdown rating time. All right, so here we go. Breaking it down. Carnosaur 1 overall got a 2 from us, and that was not from me. That was from my fellow co-host. I actually gave that one a 3. I mean, again, I probably, in all honesty, I probably could have gave it a 2.5, but because my expectations were not met by Jurassic Park, but were met by Carnosaur when it comes to blood and guts, I gave it a 3. Mark gave it a 2. Ruben gave it a 1.5.
Yeah,
because he liked it better than Razorback.
Yes, exactly.
So, but 2, and I mean, I will state, even though I enjoy this film, if this was the third film in the trilogy, and the second and third ones were the first 2, I would probably say you can go without seeing the third film. But since it's the first film of the trilogy and sets everything up, you kind of have to see it.
Yeah.
To go with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm cool with it because again, I enjoyed the movie. But if I, to be honest with our listeners, this one got rated the worst out of all 3. But you kind of got to get through that one to get to the other 2 that are much more enjoyable, which leads us to Carnosaur 2. Overall, 2.5 out of 5 stomps. I gave this one a pretty high, actually, and that's 3.5. I gave it 3.5 because it was a major leap above and beyond the first film. The dinosaurs, I think, look absolutely awesome. I love the way that they look. Everything about the film we talked about was better all around. But I don't know. I don't know if it's nostalgic or if it's freaking Rick Dean being Rick Dean, man. I watch this movie pretty regularly. Like, I say I probably, in all honesty, watch this movie. This is how often I watch this movie. When we went back to review for these films, this was the only one I didn't watch because I didn't have time to. And Sarah's like, "Well, don't you need to watch them all?" I'm like, "I don't have to. Like, I could quote this movie. Like, I love the second one because I watch it so much. So nostalgically, if there's a top 10 list of my favorite B films, like B movie monster movies, Project Metal Beast, Blue Monkey, the Boogans, these style movies, this is probably the top film. If not it's a very close number 2 for me. So I rated it a 3.5. Mark 2.5. Ruben gave it a 2. Improvement over the first, but not enough to give a 3 from these guys. Then we get to the third film, and this is where we're highly against the grain from the critics. Overall, a 3, and unanimously, we all gave this one a 3. Very enjoyable film for what it is. I mean, it's a I don't know, man. Going back and thinking, like, I'm trying to think of a better B movie. B this level of film. Mm-hmm. Can you think of a better dinosaur movie than Carnosaur 3? As a B movie, as a B horror
movie,
and I think that with this, Ruben hit it. It's the original plot. I mean, that really stepped it up.
Versus we're gonna pull off of this movie or that movie.
I think that's where it maybe differs from other B-rated dinosaur movies.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, because I would put this one. I mean, especially 2, because 2 is my favorite of the trilogy, but 3 definitely. I mean, it just, if I took away the nostalgic or my love of the second one, it would have got a 3 just like this one.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they did. We were talking about it. Like, these movies just continued to get better from the first film. Yeah. So I mean, the second and the third, I think we all agree, definitely is well worth it provides definite entertainment.
Yes.
I mean,
oh yeah.
For as being around that 2.5, 3 mark, they're definitely worth watching. I promise you will absolutely love Rick Dean in these movies. You're going to enjoy the dinosaurs. Yep. I mean, there's things we're going to have to overlook because they're B movie films and Roger Corman films, but they're super enjoyable. But unfortunately, you'll have to sit through the first one.
Yeah. We are stomping on a sliding scale because it's Roger Corman.
Yes,
I think.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else you guys got to say about these movies?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, then,
I think we're good.
I think it's time to test your might.
Test your might. Test your might. Test your might. Test your might. Test your might.
All right, so to kick off this round of Test Your Might, Ruben, we got to find out, how did you feel about watching Bog?
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you something. You know, I pick movies, and I try to punish you guys, but somehow y'all always end up enjoying them. Sludge, on the other hand, picks doozies that, oh, man, that was like, you know what? I think I'd rather watch Razorback.
Oh man, wow. It was bad, dude. The Bog was so bad.
Oh my God! You know this. I was like watching it. I'm like, what the? And somehow I took some notes just so I could remember. Right? But the first thing that I thought, I'm like, you know, I saw the film start, and then I said, hey, that's Ron Jeremy. Because there's a guy that looks just like Ron Jeremy.
It looks identical to Ron Jeremy.
I'm like, what is Ron Jeremy doing
in
this
film? I thought so
film?
too. Like when I first started, I was like, is that? I had to look it up. I'm like, no, that's not Ron. I was like, but I thought it was.
I'm like, did he go straight? And is he doing these movies? But this movie is just horrible. You got Ron Jeremy and his friend and their girlfriends that are nagging him the whole time. Somehow they go on a fishing trip, but the ladies don't want to be there. So that creature takes care of one of the ladies since she doesn't like fishing anyway, so they took care of her, right? So
yeah, I don't know what the guy was all mad about. It'd be like, I can fish a piece now.
So then Ron Jeremy tells his girlfriend to run over to the station wagon that they came in, right? And the station, and then all of a sudden that creature attacks the second lady, but it seems like it's a giant creature from the camera angle. She's like looking up, and then she gets killed, and all you see is, I don't know, lobster claws. Basically, for 90% of the movie, all you see is lobster claws killing people. Right? Apparently, this thing only craves female blood, but kills dudes too. So I don't get that. And they shoot it. They do all kinds of stuff to it, and they try to gas it, a la Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
None of that works. But they rammed it with a station wagon, and it dies. Instantly. I'm like, what the heck? They shot him. They did all kinds of, they tried blowing him up. You know, they tried all this stuff. Nothing works until he gets rammed with a station wagon, and then he gets killed. And I'm like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
So bad. Like, there was one scene between, like, the main actors, or, like, the scientists. There's a scientist and a scientist lady, and they're trying to figure out what this creature is. And it's like, I think it's at her house or his house. Like, they were having dinner or whatever. And it's just like, it is like a legit, like, headshot only of them two talking for what seemed like for freaking ever.
And that's another thing. They're talking about it, and the guy goes, well, it's a creature that's like female blood, and da-da-da. Okay, who's hungry? Let's go eat.
Yeah, it's just so weird. Like, I'm a fan of a movie called Terror in the Swamp. And the monster in Terror in the Swamp, I don't know if you remember that one, Mark. I think I found it as a kid. It's about a giant, one of those big rodents with the... Nutria. Okay. It's about a giant nutria man, okay? And if no one doesn't know what a nutria is, it's like the biggest rodent on Earth. And it looks like it's got a horse head on a rat's body, okay? So
it got shot in Carnosaur 2 or 3 then, right?
Yeah, it did. You see the suit in Carnosaur 3. Like, Terror in the Swamp was a great movie compared to Bog, and Terror in the Swamp is a very bad movie. So, I'm sorry, that one was pretty rough.
And then the doctor, and I'm sure you know what? I'm sure they were my age, but this was cringy. The doctor hits on this. It's an older guy and an older lady, and he's hitting on that science. I guess she's a scientist or something.
I was like, I'm waiting for them to start like making out hardcore.
It was weird. Dude, I mean, he's really hitting on her. I'm like, man, he's coming on strong. He's about to get a sexual harassment suit thrown on him right now.
I know. I felt like I was about to watch one of the Golden Girls start making out. You know, like
that's exactly what it was.
You got to see the behind the scenes episode.
I'm so glad I never watched this.
It was. I'm like, man, I think that was more terrifying
than the monster, dude. It was
than the monster, because once you see the monster, I'm like, what the heck is this? You know, the monster was horrible. The design was horrible. And then, like I said, it then gets hit by a station wagon. And the station wagon just spontaneously combusts. You know? It's not... It's like if it got rear-ended by a Pinto or something. You know, those cars that explode, or the Corvair that would explode if you got rear-ended. But except it was from the front end. So, I mean, this was just horrible. Sludge is just a horrible, horrible person.
Job well done, Sludge.
Man.
You know, if he was Catholic, I'd tell him to go to confession.
I would have to, because this one was rough. I may have had to repent, be like, I'm sorry for making Ruben watch this. It was, I mean, I watched some bad movies, but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, someone has to experience my pain on this one, because this was, it's rare. I mean, I've watched some really bad movies, because I do enjoy watching bad movies, but it is rare where I'm sitting there going, how far into this movie am I, and how much longer is there?
How much is left?
Yeah, and I had to look, and I'm
Funny,
like,
I did the same thing.
Did you? I was like, oh my god,
how much more longer do I have?
I just like, I gotta will myself through this. I gotta will myself through this movie, because I'm like, and I had to force myself to finish that film, and that's pretty rare. That tells you how bad it is. So, all right,
and that soundtrack. Oh my god,
oh, it's terrible.
It was a horrible song. I mean, I don't know how to describe it other than it's one of those themes you might see in a Ron Jeremy film, but not this kind of Ron Jeremy film. It was horrible. All right. Let's move on from this torture.
Let's go with the questions. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
First question. I wish I'd read the book now. While the first Carnosaur movie only showed While the first Carnosaur movie only showed 2 dinosaurs, how many did the original novel mention in the story? A, 7, B, 9, or C, 12? This is going to be a shot in the dark for me. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. Yeah. Okay. Ready for number 2?
After that first guess, yep, I'm ready.
All right. To a lot of horror, I had to guess that one too. To a lot of horror fans, Clint Howard is a recognizable face in low-budget movies. How old was he in his first on-screen role? A, 2, B, 4, or C, 5?
I know.
That's guess number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember. I know when his first appearance was. I just don't remember how old he was. I took another guess.
Was he on the Andy Griffith Show?
Yeah, it was absolutely on the Andy Griffith Show.
Number 3.
Yeah.
I may question this one. What is the first film to have a dinosaur appear? A, The Lost World, B, The Ghost of Slumber Mountain, or C, Brute Force?
I'm going to go with what I think it is.
All right.
I haven't put it. I may challenge Charlie on that one.
Okay.
You're going to challenge? Dang. Well, how can you challenge if you don't know the answer yet?
I don't know the. I don't.
Really? Good call.
Well,
right
what are you
there.
challenging? What are you challenging?
Yeah.
I think he's
come
wrong.
from?
I think he's wrong on this.
Well,
Because if he put,
how do you know he's wrong if you don't know the answer?
Okay, I don't know. Let me put my guess
you
down.
just gave yourself up. Okay, we knew this.
Right.
Him and Charlie were doing this. We knew this.
I think he's wrong.
He's trying to say Charlie's wrong on the answer before he even knows.
Well, I don't know. All right, all right. So here we go. Here go the answers. While the first Carnosaur movie only showed 2 dinosaurs, how many did the original novel mention in the story? A, 7, B, 9, or C, 12? The answer is 9. The answer is B.
Yes. Good one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
All
man,
3?
I guessed it.
Got it.
Number 2. To a lot of horror fans, Clint Howard is a recognizable face in low-budget movies. How old was he in his first on-screen role? A2, B4, or C5? The answer is A, 2 years old.
Oh, I missed that one.
I missed that one, too. And he was on the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah,
I remember when he was on, yeah.
I didn't think he was 2.
What?
He was...
Was he 2?
He wasn't 4 or 5.
2?
He was a kid.
4. My bad, 4.
All right. What is the first film? No, 2. He was 2.
He was 2.
Yeah, he was
2.
Yeah, 2.
He was 2.
A. The answer is
A.
Yeah. Okay. What is the first film to have a dinosaur appear? A, The Lost World, B, The Ghost of Slumber Mountain, or C, Brute Force? The answer was C, brute force. And I guessed that wrong, and I am challenging that.
Here comes the chat.
I got that one right only because, yes, I did. Because the obvious answer I knew is not going to be Lost World.
Right. No, because
then I took a guess at the second one. Yeah, I took a guess at the second one.
I did too, and I'm like,
Lost World, because I said Lost World seems like the right answer, but it's too obvious for Charlie. You know, like he would throw something so obvious out there. Yeah.
No, but I think he is wrong.
Oh.
Okay. Well, what you want? We can check. So, what did you get? All three?
No. Me and Sludge only got one.
He is wrong. Charlie, you are wrong.
Why?
I was right.
Which
one? Because I knew.
Did I miss one?
I knew. Well, we'll give it to you because it was his answers, I guess. But no, Brute Force is not the first movie that dinosaurs ever showed up on film. That belongs to, and has always belonged to, the one and only Gertie the Dinosaur, who came out earlier in 1914 before Brute Force.
Oh.
I was like, no. I started like, so, Charlie, yes, I challenged you.
Oh, why? Oh, because you didn't see Gertie on the list. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Gertie wasn't on the list. So I'm like,
okay.
I don't think so, so I'm like, so no.
Well, Gertie wasn't a choice. Well, what do you think, Mark?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'll give it to you because Gertie was not a choice. Because I get it wrong. But I had to.
But if that was the case, did you get that one right?
I would have gotten that one right.
No. Did you get that?
No. Because none of those movies were correct, and so I just
because none of he saw the three answers. Yeah. I see what he said. He saw the three answers. And the right one wasn't. Yeah. The right one wasn't.
Yeah. So you just knew it was Gertie, but you didn't know anybody else. You didn't know.
I didn't know what the other two films.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was like, no.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't Lost World.
And I just took a guess because I just said it's not Lost World. I crossed that one out.
Just go ahead and do it, man.
Yep.
Just go ahead and make the call.
How many did you get right?
I got them all.
He got them all right.
All right, you make the call.
Go ahead.
What are we watching?
Phantom of the
Redeem
Park.
yourself from having to watch The Bog.
Okay. So I've been thinking about this, and originally I saw a real terrible movie, but it's pretty new. It's one of those that you see on sci-fi. But you know what? It's in the same vein as Notzilla. So you guys might have fun with it. So instead, I said, you know what? They're gonna have too much fun with this movie. So I'm gonna give you a Pete special. You're gonna watch The Swarm from 1979.
The Swarm. I've seen it. I've seen it
too. Is that the one with
Killer Bees?
Yes.
Yeah.
Killer Bees.
So you're watching. Yeah.
That's been a long time since I've seen that one. Is it bad? I don't remember.
Oh, I liked it.
Did you like it?
I liked it.
It's been a while.
You see that? Yeah, I should have given y'all.
All right, The Swarm.
The Swarm is.
I'm going to give you this because it's such a new movie that I said, it's too new. It's one of those parody movies. It's called Jurassic Thunder.
Jurassic Thunder. No, I've not seen it.
Is that what we're watching?
We're watching Jurassic Thunder. Jurassic Thunder.
Okay, Jurassic Thunder.
No, you can watch the Swarm. You can watch the Swarm if you want to, but Jurassic Thunder was that one that I was going to give you guys, and I'm like, I'm not going to save it because it's one of those terrible movies.
Is that on the Plex?
I don't think so because I saw it on Comet.
Oh wow, crap!
It was on.
That's not a good sign at all. I'm not dogging Comet by any means, but Comet is not known to have the best film selection on there. Okay, we'll do Jurassic Thunder because it's The Swarm. I remember.
You want to do? Y'all seen it? So then let's do Jurassic Thunder. Then. Yeah.
All right.
And thank you for giving me the choice because The Swarm is not a good movie, but Jurassic Thunder. I'd rather watch The Swarm than Jurassic Thunder again. I'm never watching Jurassic Thunder ever again.
Oh gosh! All right, this could be rough. So, all right, well, guys, thank you all so much for sticking with us through this Carnosaur Trilogy. Because again, Jurassic World is finishing up its trilogy, and we had to go back for some nasty, bloody dinosaur fun here. So, and of course, now the next episode this month, we are going overseas to Korea
Yes,
to
we
check
are.
out a classic giant monster movie called Yongary.
Yep.
We are watching the original film, not the 1999 remake.
Exactly.
That's being saved for a trivia film because that one was rough. But this one's enjoyable. So, join us again here in just a week for the second episode of the month with Yongary, and we have got some big news coming up for you guys that will be released later today. As you hear this is the 17th or Saturday. Good God. Let me restart that one. So we hear this episode on Saturday, so we will be releasing some news for you guys. There's a lot coming up, especially around Halloween time. So be prepared on the lookout for a big news drop from us. And again, thank you all so much. Join us again when we jump on to Yongary. This is Sludge.
And Mark.
You got Ruben in Texas.
Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Come on, you think? You want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will win.
Hello, peasants. Zombie here, reminding you to join the Monster Movie Stompdown Facebook group and follow us on Instagram so you can get all the extra content from the Monster Movie Stompdown. 3 times a week, we bring extra content with The Underdogs on Monday, where we discuss great monster movies you might have missed. Monster Mash Wednesday, where we discuss the music of the monster movies or monster-related music, either way. And of course, Friday Night Fights, where we put 2 titular monsters, not even the right word, I don't know if I can say that, in the ring, and you decide who wins. So don't be a loser. Go join us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.